You know, when you're used to doing corrupt things, when you're used to doing things that aren't right, when you're used to taking advantage of people, when you're used to using your authority to hurt others, and that's just a norm for you, you know, you do stupid things like leave a paper trail of the stuff that you do. You do things like put people in jail because you don't like them and you want to try to teach them a lesson. So, if the ICE officer Crean had actually done what he said he was supposed to do or going to do, he would have contacted his supervisors and they would have contacted the ICE attorneys. Their attorneys then would have told the supervisor, no, this guy's case is in appeal and it's being held in abeyance. Stay away from him, don't touch it. That's what they should have said.
By court order, right?
By court order.
Yeah.
And by immigration court order, by Seventh Circuit court order,
So
and by Supreme Court order.
like quite a few judges, huh?
Quite a few judges
Yeah.
said this is the thing. So then they should have said, yeah, stay away from that. Don't mess with that. When he came back to court and said, yeah, I didn't ask anybody. I just went along with Dodge County and said, yeah, let's throw this guy in jail. And it's weird because the day of the arrest, when I showed up at the jail, when I showed up at the sheriff's office, it was a weird meeting. You know, we talked about stuff that didn't make any sense.
Did you talk about jail privileges, visitation? Did you bring it up first?
No, he asked me for some documentation. Okay, he asked me and I gave him 8 pieces of paper with references, you know, and my background, things like those.
Okay.
I gave him 8 pieces of paper. And when I sat down in his office, he goes, you know, one of these pieces of paper is a forgery. And I said, one of these documents is forged. And I said, which one? And he goes, well, I can't find it right now. And I'm sitting there with all 8 pieces of paper sitting right in front of me, and I'm going, which one is a forgery? This one, and he said, well, it's in, and he holds up this briefcase, and he goes, it's in here somewhere. I'm not gonna look for it, you know. And again, I'm sitting there going, okay, it's right here on the table, in front of you. Just point to it, you know. Just show me which one is forged, you know. And it was like he was trying to get me to believe something that I knew wasn't true.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, okay, so now all of a sudden the conversation for me in my head, it changed, because that's just who I am, you know. And maybe it's not always great, because when somebody comes across that way, now I'm just gonna find out, you know, how far, you know.
Why am I really here? Huh?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to start asking questions. And so then it turned out that the document that he said was forged, he said, I would need a FOIA in order to get it.
You would?
Me.
You would need a FOIA.
I would need a FOIA for a document that I gave him that was also sitting in front of us on the table, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, great. Why not? Huh?
What? You know, I mean, maybe I can get I can ask, is it a presidential thing? Maybe I have to write to the president to actually, you know, get my own paperwork that's, you know, on my laptop.
Yeah.
So, again, it was just all really strange, you know. And then he goes, and there's some people that want to meet with you.
Okay.
And I said, okay. And we walk into this room, and there are 4 or 5 people sitting at a table, and he introduces them to me, and they shake my hand, like we're literally going down the line, shaking my hand. This is so and so. This is so and so. And I sit down, and this last person was Hallis. His name is Hallis. He's an ICE officer, and he shook my hand, and we sat down, And he proceeded to tell me that I was under arrest. And I said, for what? And he goes, because there's a deportation order for you.
Okay.
I said, no, there's not. You know, I mean, it's like I've been through this process. I already know what's happened, you know? And no, there's not.
You're in the appeal that the judge told you to do.
And we're waiting.
Yeah,
we're waiting for a court date.
Yeah.
We're waiting to go to court.
Yeah.
And at that point, we knew about the Supreme Court. We didn't know about the remand from the Seventh Circuit back to the immigration courts.
Okay.
Which is where it got lost for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So they're sitting there trying to tell me that they're about to arrest me for something, A, that I've already been arrested for back in 2000.
Okay.
And it's like, say you do something crazy, let's just say, and you get arrested for it, and you go to court, and you bail out on bond, and you're waiting for your next court date.
Yeah.
And some police officer comes and goes, did you know that you're in trouble for this? And I'm here to arrest you for it. And you're going, again? Right? So basically that's what I'm sitting there going, okay, this guy is either like crazy, lost his mind, or just has no clue about the justice system. Uninformed.
Yeah.
But get informed. So literally, I said, okay. You say there's a deportation order for me. And he says, yeah. So I said, can you show it to me? And he goes, well, no, I don't have it. And I said, so there's a deportation order for me that you can't show to me on paper. And he was like, right. I said, okay, we'll pass that one. Do you have a warrant for this arrest? Well, no, I don't have one of those either. I said, so you want me to believe there's a deportation order for me, and you want me to believe that you're about to arrest me, but you don't have a warrant for it, and you don't have proof of why you're arresting me, basically. And we're all sitting in this room, and you could hear a pin drop. Because I think they thought it was going to go differently. I honestly think they thought that I was going to be like, oh no, you've caught me, and oh, I'm so scared, you've caught me, I've done wrong. But it was just, I'm sitting there going, somebody's an idiot in this room. I mean, that's literally what's going through my head, because I'm looking at these people, right? And I'm like, somebody's an idiot in this room. Because I can't be sitting in a room full of law enforcement, and they're all listening to the fact that the dude that's about to arrest me doesn't have any proof of why he's arresting me, and doesn't have a warrant for why he's arresting me, but yet we're still going to do the arrest. So how that all ended was I asked him flat out, I said, are you sure you want to do this? And he said, well, I have to. So I put my arms out and I said, let's do it.
So did our constitutional sheriff say, wait a minute? Evidently not.
No, he stood behind me with his arms crossed, kind of smirking like he had done something great.
So that's how it happened, huh?
That is how it all went down. It was a huge setup for an illegal arrest. And now it's come around to a massive lawsuit.
Because it didn't end there. You just, from what I hear, they didn't have any charges, but they put you in jail.
For 6.5 months.
For 6.5 months you were in jail and nobody could bring any charges.
Now we are in front of Judge Cole.
This is Immigration Judge Samuel B. Cole in the Immigration Court of Chicago, Illinois. Today's date is September 8th, 2017. These are continued removal proceedings in the case of Selepri Amachree.
And he's in which court?
He is now the district, the immigration court level, at the district level.
So now it's not an appeal.
It finally came out of the appeals.
Appeal.
Oh yeah. So, thank you.
Okay.
It came out of the appellate court back in 2007. And it was stamped by the Board of Immigration appellate court in 2007. And it was said we received it.
Okay.
2007.
Yeah.
Okay? Then it got lost.
Okay.
In 2017, we got a second letter from the Board of Immigration Appeals. And they said, oh, we just got this 2 weeks ago. So now it's
2 weeks ago,
2 weeks ago.
they found it.
They found it
Ah,
2 weeks ago.
okay.
It was just remanded down. So what we did in the lawsuit was we turned in both papers.
Okay.
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 So which was it?
Yeah.
Did you get it in 2007 when you signed for it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or did you get it in 2017 when you found it?
Uh-huh.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So literally it sat there lost for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So when I went in front of the judge, he thought that I had only been sitting in jail
This
for
is Judge
2
Cole
weeks.
now.
Judge Cole thought I had only been sitting in
Okay.
jail for 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay.
When he found out that I'd been sitting in jail for 6.5 months, then he started to ask some questions.
Okay, Mr. Berg, why don't you give me a short summary of where this case has been?
Certainly. The respondent's a lawful permanent resident, native citizen of Liberia, who came when he was 5 years of age. He was subsequently placed in removal proceedings for conviction related to possession of a controlled substance. When he was before the court, before Judge Vinocourt a number of years ago, the controlling precedent was matter of Yanez, a decision of the BIA, which the board held simple possession was an aggravated felony. While his case was pending, that issue went up to the U.S. Supreme Court. Ultimately, in Lopez versus Gonzalez, the Supreme Court rejected the reasoning of Yanez. Ultimately, his case was remanded by the 7th to the board and somehow was in limbo. He was released in the interim and then taken into custody earlier this year by ICE agents.
I don't think I'll ever forget the look on Judge Cole's face when I believe he realized that I was possibly sitting in custody illegally.
Wait, why was it, so there was change in the law, possession was no longer, possession of controlled substance was no longer an aggravated felony,
Correct.
and then how did the case
This
go
was
back to the
stuck
board?
between, it had been sent from the 7th down to the board and somehow it never got recalendared.
How long ago was that?
From 2007, I believe, until 2017.
But he
He was out of custody,
had just been out of custody.
and
Okay.
he does prison counseling, so he happened to be in the Dodge County Jail waiting to meet with prisoners when he was taken into custody by ICE agents.
Because then he wanted to know, why was I sitting in jail for 6.5 months? And my attorney is really PC. He's very, very politically correct. And he was like, well, he was working at Dodge County and ICE just happened to be there and they arrested him. Well, that didn't fly with Judge Cole, right?
Okay.
Judge Cole goes, so what was the new offense? He wanted to know what crime I had committed for ICE to rearrest me and put me back into custody.
Does he have any criminal convictions after the PCS?
When he asked that question, the response of the U.S. Attorney, Miss Green, it said it all.
Does he have any criminal convictions after the PCS?
And there was, again, pin drop
Yeah.
in the courtroom because nobody had an answer. So my attorney was like,
I'm not aware of anything else, Your Honor, that would preclude him from eligibility.
and so then Judge Cole said, well, obviously there's something going on and nobody's telling me what it is. So then he ordered a background check because a federal background check would then give him the information that he needed. It's plain and clear. Mm-hmm. If I get a background check, it's going to show me why he's sitting in jail.
It should.
It should.
Yeah, right.
So we adjourned at 10 o'clock that morning and re-adjourned at 2 o'clock that afternoon.
So he kept on this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like, my wife was sitting in the courtroom, and there were other people that were getting reassigned like a month, 2 months down the line. He was like, "We're gonna do this at 2:00 today."